Hey, what's going on, roleplayers? It's the Bard here, and welcome back to the corner. So what have I conjured up for you today? If you are looking for video ideas, I'd like to continue the Unconventional series with the Wizard. Oh, would you now? What is it you think that's going to happen? That I can just wave a magic wand and poof, Unconventional Wizard? These things don't just happen by magic, you know. Or do they? On the surface, the Arcane Impersonator seems to share a lot of similarities with an Arcane Trickster or Wizard Rogue multiclass, but the truth is actually far more insidious. This isn't just a character that assumes another person's identity. In fact, they infiltrate so completely that not even magic is efficient in discovering what you truly are. We start our journey with 8 levels of Transmuter. Now you're probably thinking, well, why didn't I pick Illusionist? But we should consider the basics. The things that get people caught out are the small details. The Transmuter Stone covers a lot of basics for you. If you're trying to impersonate someone, onlookers might be confused as to why a tiefling doesn't have fire resistance or why an elf can't see in the dark. The Transmuter Stone covers that problem for you. The feat requirements might be a little bit high, but a character like this can't afford any slip-ups. Actor was tailor-made for this character in order to make their infiltration more successful. Advantage on performance and deception for passing yourself off as someone else is kind of important. Additionally, being able to mimic the speech of another person also comes in incredibly useful for this type of character. Keen Mind is one of those feats that's nice to have, because being able to accurately recall anything you've seen or heard within the last month is particularly important, especially when it comes to a character who's supposed to know certain things but apparently doesn't. So having access to that knowledge when you need it, it's just going to make your subterfuge that much more convincing. Finally, with the Eldritch Adept feat, you can get access to Mask of Many Faces. This allows you to have Disguise Self on you all day, every day, at no cost. Disguise Self lasts for 1 hour per casting, so whenever you get just a few seconds where you're being unobserved, make sure to refresh the duration just to keep that illusion going. When it comes to your spells, things like Charm Person, Detect Thoughts, Clairvoyance, Arcane Eye, these are your information gathering spells that allow you to learn more about the person you're going to be impersonating. You should have an answer for near enough everything, whether that be through direct interaction, mind probing, or remote viewing. This is the part where you get to truly assume another's identity. Nistel's Magic Aura allows you to place an illusion on a creature or object so that divination spells reveal false information about it. With the mask application of this spell, you change the way you appear to spells and magical effects that detect creature types. So you can change your creature type, and those spells will register you as that particular creature type. Additionally, if you cast this spell every day for 30 days using the same effect each time, the spell becomes permanent until it's dispelled. There's also some other spells that are useful, and there are some that you want to avoid. So things like Counterspell is pretty vital. A single Dispel magic can make things difficult for most characters, but in the case of the Arcane Impersonator, a single Dispel magic can undo months of work. As you've probably worked out, this is a character that's in it for the long haul, so you don't want to have all of your careful preparation undone with a single whimsical casting. Non-detection is one of those spells that you might want to avoid, even though it might seem very on-brand. Your role is to convince others you are the person whose identity you've consumed. Spells like non-detection deflect divination and magical scrying senses, but all that's really doing is proving to others that you've got something to hide. So often when I see ranged character variations, they usually go something along the lines of, "This character lives for that one perfect shot," and to me that seems a little tired. I would suggest it would be more interesting for a character to want to gain complete mastery of a specific tool. What can you do with it? How can you improve it? What can I do in a certain situation? That's what I'm aiming for with the Gun Mage. This character will fit nicely into the Eberron setting, but if you can convince your DM to allow firearms in their adventure, then it might be worth a go. We're going to start out with 8 levels of Diviner. You also have the option to dip into other classes if you want. Genie Warlock is a particularly useful one, considering the Genie's Wrath can get you elemental damage on your weapon attacks. That's all just customization though. Diviner is the core of the build, because you want the Portent ability. Portent can potentially turn a failure into success, and it's useful for any character, as any weapon that can't hit its target is essentially useless. The Gunner feat represents your first area of mastery over the weapon that you've chosen. You're going to be able to increase your dexterity, which is going to be your primary attribute for this character. Of course you're going to get proficiency with the firearms. You could ignore the loading property of firearms as well, and being within 5 feet of a hostile creature doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attack rolls. The next feat I want for this build is Alert. It does have some great anti-surprise tools built into it, but I really want the +5 initiative bonus. This is going to be your next element of mastery, the Quick Draw. If you have the variant human class, you can get 3 feats by level 8, otherwise you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, but Sharpshooter represents another very useful feat for this class. Attacking at long range won't impose disadvantage, you'll be able to ignore partial cover, and you'll be able to improve your damage output as well. This arrangement of feats gives you complete physical mastery over the items in question, everything from short range gunslinging to long range sharpshooting. Unfortunately, Wizard doesn't seem to do enhancement as well as I think it could or perhaps should, but there are still a couple of useful spells that you can take advantage of. Enlarge and Reduce is a great spell, it's one I really enjoy. For this character, it can actually get you some additional damage because it enlarges your weapons, dealing an extra 1d4 damage. Magic Weapon is also a pretty decent choice because you can get additional accuracy as well as additional damage, so it's a little bit more balanced, but it's definitely useful for those early levels. Haste is your rapid fire tool, allowing you to get more shots off within a round. The additional bonuses to speed and defenses are also very welcome. A creature you can't see is probably a creature you can't strike. See Invisibility helps you get around that, and what's really nice is the 1 hour duration that doesn't require any concentration. And finally, if you do enjoy the sniper style of play, Invisibility can help get you into position safely, and True Strike can give you advantage if you really must have that one perfect shot. The Gun Mage has a nice bit of versatility in the sense that you can concentrate on your defenses and your utility spells, as you don't really need much to make it work, and everything else is just covered by your feats and proficiencies. Sure, you're not going to be clearing out rooms like a sorcerer does, but that's not what you're about. The point is to be the best there is at what you do, even if that does mean using your bag of wizard tricks to give you the edge. I'll admit I have a great fondness for shapeshifters, but the problem I tend to have is most of the shapes that you can take are just normal shapes. You become something that already exists. What I want is something that can take on almost imaginary forms and become a real thing of nightmares. The Monstrous Transmogrifist starts off with 7 levels of Transmuter. It's also going to dip into Way of the Astral Self. For a character that's all about changing their own physical form, the bonuses you get from Transmuter Stone are incredibly effective. With a little bit of reskinning, Way of the Astral Self is also very interesting for this character. 3 levels of this class gets you the Arms of the Astral Self ability, which allows you to summon an additional pair of astral arms, which you can change the appearance of to your liking. This is exactly what we want, because more limbs means more monstrous mayhem. Benefits of having these arms include being able to strike using your wisdom modifier if necessary, and you get an additional 5 foot of reach, which is also pretty impressive as well as a little bit freaky. Fortunately, this character isn't highly feat dependent, but Magic Initiate is a really nice feat that you can take if you want to have access to Primal Savagery and Thorn Whip. When you're not using your normal attacks, you can have more teeth, more claws, more spiny tendrils, and that's just more monstrous things that you can throw at your opponents. Also, if you can find room for it, tough might be a worthy consideration. You're in the thick of combat all the time, and that's not where your conventional wizard wants to be. Just as a side note, to add a little bit of extra spice to your monstrous forms, you might want to look at certain races like Dragonborn or Shifter. Shifter can get you additional physical changes such as a bite attack, whereas Dragonborn has elemental resistance and a breath weapon. Okay, it's time to look at spells. And Alter Self is going to be the single most important spell you have for the Monstrous Transmogrifist. The natural weapons application of this spell allows you to grow fangs, claws, spines, horns, or a different natural weapon of your choice. The important thing to realize, however, is unlike Polymorph, which changes your game statistics and takes away your other abilities, Alter Self doesn't. It allows you to continue using the abilities that you already have. This will actually work in conjunction with your Arms of the Astral Self ability, allowing you to be that 4-armed, scaly, spiky, fire-breathing monstrosity you always wanted to be. And of course, if you get bored with one type of natural weapon, you can always switch to a completely different one. And of course, if you need it, you've always got the change appearance and the aquatic adaptation functions of this spell, as well as the fact that your natural weapons, when you use that aspect of the spell, deal magical damage as well as have a bonus to attack and damage. Jump and Longstrider are fantastic low-level spells for this character. They have good durations, they're non-concentration, and the most important thing is that they are transmutation spells as well, meaning you can use them to change your Transmuter Stone effect if you need to. Polymorph is a very on-brand spell for this character. Now, as I mentioned before, it will overwrite a lot of your class abilities when you use it, but that still doesn't mean that it shouldn't be in your arsenal. It's worth remembering that Polymorph is essentially giving you a well of extra hit points to work with, so it's going to take damage off that first before reverting back to your normal form. Finally, I just want to have Spider Climb in this build. There's something really freaky about walking on the ceiling. Whilst you're nestled on the ceiling, you can use spells like Thorn Whip to pull creatures towards you. There's always something scary about a multi-limbed wallwalker reeling in its prey to meet its fate. You can potentially start playing a Monstrous Transmogrifist as early as level 6 if you go 3 and 3 with your class distribution. If you're enjoying this class and you want to play it for longer, it might be worth looking into some of the higher level spells. 6th level spells like the various Investiture spells or Tasha's Otherworldly Guise can add another element of mysticism and monstrousness to your character. Another very worthy consideration, if you have room for it, is Meta Magic Adept, allowing you to get access to Extend spell, meaning you can cast your Alter Self and have it last for up to 2 hours before it runs out. For the Monstrous Transmogrifist, a spell that's as critical, valuable and malleable as Alter Self gains great benefit from having its duration increased, meaning you can be more efficient and useful in your other spell selections as well, and have more slots to deal with problems as they come your way. Well, there you go guys, Unconventional Wizard in the bag. Believe it or not, Unconventional Wizard is a difficult one to do, because when you've got a class that can essentially be whatever it wants whenever it wants, it's not easy to make something like that stand out amongst the others, but I'm hoping I've done it some justice. If you think I have, why not leave a like on the video? If you've got something to say, there's a comment section down below, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, why not consider doing so? And wait, I got a magic trick for you. Alright guys and girls, real life sorcery, okay, concentrate, are you ready? You concentrating? Good? Alright, magic trick, here it comes. Manual breathing is now activated for you. What do you think about that one? Am I an arcane trickster or what? And remember guys, never dabble in the occult, never mess with a mage, and if anything ever happens that you can't explain, a wizard did it. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next time at the gaming table.